All right, let's go ahead and get started. Stand please for the pledge and the prayer by Kim and Mitch.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for another day. We thank you for another opportunity to be on this board. We thank you for these folks that are gathered in this room. What a blessing and encouragement they are to us. We thank you for our faculty. We thank you for our staff. We thank you for the students. Lord, we thank you for every in and out that we have here at Swain County High School, at Swain County Middle School, the elementaries, and Lord, the pre-K, every aspect of our school system, we just thank you for. We ask you now that you'd be at this meeting, that everything that's said and done here would be pleasing and honoring to you. And once again, we do love you because you did first love us. And we ask all these things in your precious holy name. Amen.
Amen. All right, call the meeting to order. Mark, do we have any different agenda items?
Not that I know of, Mr. McKinney.
Okay, so I'll have a motion then to approve the agenda in front of you.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, all in favor by aye.
Aye.
Let's start off with our shout outs. We used to do shout outs to staff, and we're trying to organize it a little bit more organized, I guess you call it. And so the principals and the supervisors and the administrators are giving us names of people that are, we call hidden heroes in our school, and we'll never get to all of them. And that is our dilemma. We're going to try our best to get to all of them. So if you have a suggestion, then by any means get in touch with whoever your administrator is, or Mr. Sell, or whomever, because we have a lot of people doing a lot of good things, and we want to make sure we get that information out. There's not a day goes by I'm not thankful for the type of school system we have, and I hear people compliment it all the time. So we'll start off first. We'll just start with Travis and go down the line.
Okay. The hidden hero for West Elementary this year has been our entire cafeteria staff. They arrive at school early to serve breakfast to almost 400 students each day. They have changed their entire routine this year, as we now deliver lunches to classrooms instead of eating in the cafeteria. They have walked miles delivering these hot lunches to each classroom as the exact time that the class is ready to eat. I have been so impressed with their dedication and flexibility this year. They have not complained once about the extra work they have done to do or to help keep our students safe. Our cafeteria staff at West is maroon strong for sure. And I have one more out of East, and that is Melody Kluwer. She is an EC. She works as an EC teacher assistant at East. She comes early and stays late. No matter the task, Melody is eager to help in whatever manner she is needed. She is a valuable part of our school, but due to her quiet nature and her head-down, hard-working approach, she has a tendency to be a bit of a quiet warrior. Thanks.
Okay, Cody?
Sure.
The individual that gets a shout out for the Bright Adventures is Elise Lawsey. She is an incredible teaching assistant in room number 1. She came to my mind not only because of the contagiously calm and consistent manner in which she guides the student learning and supports her teaching team, but also because she is quietly and efficiently takes on so many tasks here at Bright Adventures. This year she's played a role in, if not coordinated, in every community outreach event that they have hosted. She plans, puts together information, and gets it sent to the teachers to be sent home, and organizes the entire process for every event. She has done this for the past several years, and she was deemed the Community Outreach Chair of the Staff Lighthouse Team. Ms. Lawsey would never ask for such a title of recognition on her own, but she was already doing the work. Additionally, Elise and I, and when I say I, I'm referring to Ms. Chapman, for everyone out there, Elise and I have had several conversations over the last years concerning the value and the need for the after-school care of our preschoolers. She is passionate about the value in extended hours and enrichment opportunity for the students in the community. When Ms. Ash contacted me that funds were available through a grant. Elise was the first person I told. She jumped to the planning mode, and she has quietly taken on organization material orders, maintaining attendance records, STEM planning, and staff scheduling. In the planning process, when my time did not stretch to get everything finished, Elise would pick up and filled in to make our dream of high-quality after-school program come to life for Bright Adventures. I'm grateful that Elise is part of the Swain family and as her behind-the-scenes heroic work is a lifetime of positive early education experiences. We also have one from Mr. Brandon Sutton. Said, I would like to nominate Sonya Hagler. At the beginning of the year, Sonya had to step into the assignment for an injured coworker as a one-on-one assistant. Sonya accepted the assignment and was happy to be able to help her team, but more importantly, the students. This selfless team and student focus is definitely an example of our best and then some.
Okay, Mitch?
Mr. Steve Walls, he's our data manager that works tirelessly to make sure that our data is clean. This is a tie school, and we're meeting our target requirements. His strategic mind to coordinate testing schedule without cross-contaminating kids, and he created a spreadsheet to ensure that our AB numbers were relatively even and we didn't exceed class capacity with COVID restrictions. Thank you, Mr. Walls. Vanessa Frazier, she's our attendance manager, who works to ensure that all of our attendance data is clean and accurate. And the kids do not get away with skipping with her in charge. So thank you, Ms. Frazier. And then all of our nurses. This is county-wide, district-wide. COVID, has put a big burden on us, and we don't thank you folks enough. Y'all been on your A game, and there's a lot of things that's changed, and a lot of things going to continue to change. So we're thankful to have all the nurses that we have on staff.
All right, I have the maintenance staff, and first of all, the entire maintenance staff. And if you want to know what they do, go up there and look at that all-purpose building that we finished. They spent a lot of time. Also, our coaches spend a lot of time in making sure that happened. It took a lot of hours and a lot of hard sweat to do it. They work more than we asked them, and we couldn't afford to pay them what they could pay if they were working in the private business and private practice. One of them in particular is stood out is Wayne Cutshaw, and I think Wayne had some back issues earlier, didn't he, Tommy? But he does a lot of after-hours work to help us with our fire alarm system, and he also he and Monteith are instrumental in making sure that we stay heated and cooled. And there again, they could go out and start their own private business and double what they make. So they are doing us a service, and we sure appreciate it. Okay, Kim?
The hidden hero at the middle school is Nurse Carol Shell. This year, as we know, it's been unlike any other, and Swain Middle could not have functioned without the diligence and energy of Nurse Shell. Day after day, she is one of the first ones in the building and one of the last ones out. She carefully assesses legislation, watches webinars, and regularly checks for updates to the NC Toolkit so that we have all been following expectations. She greets every day with a smile and a positive attitude and has taken every challenge this year, has thrown at us with tenacity and positivity. So thank you, Nurse Shell.
Anyone else? Thank you. All right, Mr. Sale.
I gave to you a couple of sheets just a few minutes ago that have to do with the funding packages that have come from the federal government. Since the pandemic has started, we have received the opportunity for 3 different funding packages. The first one was ESSER 1, and ESSER stands for the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. ESSER 1 came to us before or right at the conclusion of the last school year, and all of that funding has been spent as of December 30th of the last calendar year. More recently, we have received the opportunity for funding from ESSER 2 and ESSER 3. And we had to submit our plans for both of those if we hoped to get that money to come to us in a reasonable amount of time and our due date for that was May the 7th. Now, the reason that we haven't brought it to you already is because of the deadline and when we received the opportunity to input data. Another piece that we had to consider as we were putting these together is the General Assembly is requiring for us to pay for our summer program this summer out of ESSER 2. So to get all of those budget pieces together, we were waiting to see exactly or close to what our numbers are and how many teachers and bus drivers we were going to need for that. Now you have on these pages in front of you what we have placed on the submitted document. We had to go ahead and send these in. But please understand that these numbers are not carved in stone. These are what we will begin with, and from there we can use the budget amendment process to shift money around how we need to, as long as we fall within some guidelines. The expectation for ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 is that we are able to directly relate anything that we spend this on to COVID-19, and also we have to be able to track and assess the impact of that funding. And that means that we have a little bit of a different, actually a lot of a different mindset with this money than we did with the ESSER 1. ESSER 1 was by and large, here's the money, just keep yourself running, because we know that everything is shut down. It's a little different now. There are several categories. One of the primary categories is learning loss. You can see that what we will be doing, or what we have planned to do with that money is to purchase some digital support for our students in the form of a program named iReady. That is an assessment and also an instructional delivery tool that will work all the way from kindergarten through 8th grade. We've been looking for something that would give us longitudinal data that way. Every year we pay for our Leader in Me program through different funding. We are able to use some of this money for that as well, because that is considered to be a social emotional learning package that supports students. Our plan is to hire 2 elementary teachers, one for each of the elementary schools, because we are assuming that we're going to have a larger percentage of students coming in kindergarten and in other areas with less social adjustment and less academic experience, and we want to make sure that we are able to have small class numbers. We're also going to add some assistants to go with those teachers. We're going to hire a TLC to work at full-time at the middle school. The middle school has not had a teacher learning coach since Jody Marr moved out. This gives us funding to do that. We're also going to add a dean of student at one of the elementary schools, probably at West. As a matter of fact, it is at West, because we have been operating at East and West with one secondary administrator for years. And it's time that we are able to support the principal so they can get into the classroom through a second in command of sort there. And then you can see that there's also some PLC support that we're going to, some professional development, and the after-school program. Now, the reason that we're adding money for after-school here in pre-K and high school, don't think that that means pre-K through high school. Kindergarten through 8th grade, we have submitted another 21st Century grant, which pays for that if it's approved. We've had that in the past. We were denied the last round. We have submitted it again. So the money that's listed here is only for pre-K after school and for high school after school. That way, if all of those pieces come into play, we'll be able to have a full gamut of after school all the way across, which will be a first since before the pandemic. There were some other pieces there that are mentioned. Providing principals with resources. We're able to use different pots of money to help pay for some of the things that I'm talking about. And the reason that we set these up the way that they are on this page is ESSER 2 has to be spent by September 30th of 2023. ESSER 3 does not have to be spent until September 30th of 2024. So one of my goals is to fully expend ESSER 2 and to hang on to some of ESSER 3 to see what happens in the future. So we're going to build a reserve, and I'll show you how that's going to work in just a minute. You'll see the summer learning program. Obviously, we have to have a summer learning program this year because of the General Assembly. However, through ESSER 3, we're able to appropriate money for a 4-week summer learning program in the following summer and the summer after that. Now, this year, it's a 6-week program because we're mandated. But in the following summer and the summer after that, that would be 22 and 23, we'll only schedule a 4-week program unless the General Assembly tells us to do something different. Dr. Sutton has been in need of some school psychologists for several years. And this program or this funding will allow us to put money in place to hire 2 school psychologists. And if you want to take a minute, Brandon, and explain what they will do, it would be helpful probably. We'll be able to hire 2 school psychologists if we can find them. There's another piece under that, which is high need certification funding. We have people in our school system who would like to go back and become a school psychologist. This will pay for some of their tuition so that we can kind of grow our own. But until that time, we're probably going to need to hire someone. Brandon, would you take a minute and explain what that school psychologist does?
So, school psychologists are, please come to the mic. Yep. So, school psychologists are responsible for the educational assessments that are required under IDEA. So, there's 13 disabilities, all requiring a different set of assessments that have to be completed. Those are completed by school psychologists. We're having to contract out to Silva Clinical for most of those assessments right now. But more importantly, what we're missing with school psychologists, we're in the MTSS, multi-tiered system supports, and we're sitting down every few weeks, looking at our classroom data and our benchmark data, and assigning interventions to students that need it. And those school psychologists, that's what they bring to the table. They're experts in child development and can really help our MTSS teams design interventions. Another thing that we're missing, and we've actually started it with a virtual psychologist right now, is some of our students need another layer of counseling, more than a guidance counselor, but maybe not as much as a private practice counseling. And school psychologists can take that a step further. So we're in desperate need of 2. We had half of one last year, and they can do testing, but it's not enough time to do anything else. We're currently contracting 24 hours. Found a virtual school psychologist. She is actually in India right now. She is from North Carolina. Her husband is military, and so we're contracting with a company called VocoVision, and we get her for 24 hours, and it's a big help. She's been in on a couple of MTSS teams. She's got 2 students at one of the elementary schools that she's going to start counseling. So they're a big help. Now, there's a national shortage. I have reached out to Western Carolina, sent a letter to them, asking for them to look at creating a program for working professionals so that our teachers could have the opportunity. Right now, a teacher can go back and get a master's degree, and there's no benefit in it. But if they pursue a school psychology degree, it's a pay increase for being a school psychologist. So I've reached out to Western and UT Chattanooga. And UT Chattanooga has entertained the idea and is willing to work with us. We're still lobbying with Western to see if we can get some footing there. But hopefully we can get something established so we can potentially send some of our classroom teachers back to pursue a school psychology degree. And right now we have 2 applicants for an upcoming year if they'll follow through. But we do have 2 applicants we're going to sit down and interview sooner or later.
Brandon, in my understanding, the biggest issue we've had getting a school psychologist, or I guess anybody, is housing, isn't it? Housing,
absolutely. And that's true of any position that we try to hire, if we're hiring someone who isn't from Swain County.
Right.
And we could say all the reasons or list all the reasons in the world right now for that, but housing is an issue.
We had located one early last year, but she had pets, and we could not find her a rental that would allow pets. So that ended up falling through. Luckily, we got the applicants now are a little bit different situation. And this virtual psychologist, I was real hesitant about that. Just it's so new and different, but it has actually worked out very well. We've trained several teacher assistants to facilitate getting the students to the class and facilitating the assessment pieces. But the lady we were able to contract with, she has North Carolina experience and just those a wealth of knowledge and has already paid for herself. It's been, I had a meeting today, an IEP meeting today that she participated in, and it makes things so much easier for our teachers who have in the past, this past 2 years, have had to interpret the testing results. And so if you've got years of experience in EC, that's a little bit easier to do. You understand what all those different tests are and the T-score and the bell curve and how they fall. You understand that, but for a lot of our beginning teachers, they don't have background, and it's been difficult. So to have a school psych on hand to attend those meetings, it's a lot easier to translate that to parents. And I think we have more meaningful conversations from that.
Another issue with bringing in school psychologists is that in the private sector, they can often make significantly more than they can make in the school systems, which is the same as you were mentioning in maintenance. You'll also notice after mental health services, there's a technology line. Whenever COVID started, we were fortunate to receive all types of hotspots, but none of those hotspots came with a continued subscription to Verizon or whoever the provider is, and this money can be used for that. And so that's where the technology numbers come from. Facilities and repair, you're going to notice that number is very large. Now, there's a reason for that. Number one, we're looking at using this money to really improve and maybe even replace a good chunk of our HVAC. And we are allowed to do that with this funding. That's a double bonus for us because we can pay for something that we've been needing to do for a lot of years. Plus, it will allow us to be able to use our capital money from Article 46, the quarter cent, for something other than HVAC. So for this county, that's a double blessing. This is also the area where we are placing our reserve money. We really don't know how much the HVAC is going to cost, but I can promise you it's not going to cost that number that you see in front of you, okay? Or I think I can promise that. You never know. But I would like to carry about a 35% reserve through the next 18 months to see how the federal and the state government react to the fact that so much funding has come to the school systems. There is no supplant clause, that's the only way I know to say it, in this funding, which means they can effectively say at the state and the federal level, we've already given you this money, so we're going to reduce your funding in other places. Now, most of the time they can't do that. This time they can. And that causes me and Stephanie to step back and to say, wait a minute, let's see how this is going to play out just a little bit. However, with some of the ways that they're requiring for us to report how we're going to use this money to different entities, they don't allow for us to have a stated reserve. So what we've done is we've placed this funding into the facilities and repairs, not knowing exactly what they're going to cost, but also trusting that we're going to be able to hold a significant portion of this for the future as well. That way we can make adjustments. Does that make sense to you? We're just using the rules that we're given to achieve the thing that we feel like we need to do. Just below that, the HVAC replacement will help improve air quality, but there is a technology that's called ionization. And basically you take two electrodes of some sort and you put them into the return duct at the initial point where it's being pushed into the schools, and that ionization supposedly kills bacteria and virus. We would like to try one of those systems in one of our elementary schools and then do a study to see how much of a difference it makes between that school and the other school. One of our churches in town has been using that, and all that I can tell you is they feel safer. Now, is there any less sickness? I don't know. But I think that would be an interesting study for us to participate in. Also, if you'll look there, there's some water issues that we're dealing with. We need to go back up to facilities and repair. We've got gutter issues that we need to address, and they're pretty expensive. So this will allow us to do that. And we're also going to be putting those water stations that you see in some places that you can put your water bottle under. we're going to be purchasing 25 of those and putting them throughout the school system so students can use water bottles rather than use the fountain, okay? We need to complete our environmental study along with our facility study. Those two can go together. That can help us know exactly what we need to do with our HVAC and some of these other issues. And then those numbers at the end, the very last number of $41,800, that's an indirect cost that allows for us to pay for our staff to keep track of all the things that are purchased and the numbers that we have to turn in. The total amount for ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 is just over $4.6 million. With this package that I've put in front of you, which is just a planning package, about 35% of it is for instruction in one way or another. About 40% of it is for instruction, about 35% of it is reserve, and then the remaining 25% is spread throughout the different needs that we see, okay? Now, I know that was a lot of information, I know, but the reason that I felt comfortable bringing it to you like that tonight is because this is not for approval tonight. These are working numbers, and we can't do anything, we can't approve anything until we are approved by the government to move forward, because we just submitted on Friday. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I just wanted you all to have this information to know that ESSER 2 money and ESSER 3 money is here or it's coming, and we have a plan on how to use it, but there's still more planning to do.
And these are definite numbers as far as the amount that's coming in.
As far as the amounts are concerned, yes, those are definite numbers. Thoughts or questions? I mentioned summer school a few minutes ago, and that's the next item on the agenda. I don't know exactly how many students that we have who have responded, their parents have responded that they'll be coming to summer school. I didn't bring that number with me, but I know that we're going to need 17 teachers. We have all of those teachers in application, ready to move, except for 4 elementary in the first session. Now, when I say the first session, what that means is we're going to run a June session and a July session. And there are some teachers that are going to work one and not work the other. There are some staff that are going to work both. But we're going to need 17 teachers. We're hiring 2 teacher assistants, 1 for each of the elementary programs. And I need to clarify what that means. Actually, we're only going to have 1 elementary program. We're going to pull all of our East students and our West students together. Our numbers will allow us to do that. And for the month of June, the elementary programs will be at West. And for the month of July, the elementary program will then move to East. The reason we're doing that is there's a significant amount of cleaning and prep that has to happen in our school buildings. And occupying both facilities really puts a burden on our custodial staff and our maintenance. So by shifting them, it gives us a chance to get the work done in one place and then work on the other facility. We will have no middle school program on the middle school campus because we have a tremendous amount of construction that's going to be going on there. The 1950s brick building is going to have their HVAC system completely replaced, and the cafeteria the floor is going to have to be taken up back in the kitchen, and the drains are going to have to be replaced. It's best that we not have students there for that. So our middle school and our high school students for the summer program will all be at the high school, okay? We will have a nurse that will be working back and forth between the two. We'll have a counselor, social worker that will be on each campus for social emotional support if they need it. We're going to have 4 EC staff, and that's 1 for each level, 2 for the elementary, 1 for middle, and 1 for high school as well to help meet their needs. There's 2 additional EC staff that are going to be at West the first session, right, Brandon? What's their purpose going to be?
Extend 1, it's the extended school year. We have to run every year offer extended school year for certain students that qualify. And so it looks like we're going to have a elementary program and potentially a middle school, and it may turn out to be only 1 program, depending on how many I hear back from the middle school and high school.
Thank you. We'll also have bus drivers. I don't know if you noticed in the ESSER funding, there's about $45,000 for bus driver salaries, and there's about $25,000 for fuel, because we'll be running buses to wherever the students need those. All of that funding is coming out of ESSER 2, though, is taken care of, okay? The first session will be June 14th through July the 2nd. The second session will then begin July 11th through July the 30th. Students are encouraged to attend all 6 weeks. Any questions about the summer program? Okay. Alarca property update. We are still in the same place with the Alarca property that we were the last time we met. However, I'm on the agenda to meet with the commissioners this Thursday and take to them the resolution and to see how they want to move forward with that. And then we'll bring the results of that back to you from there. Okay? That's all that I have in those 3 items. That's enough, isn't it?
It's a lot. It's a good lot. What about budget amendments? We're gonna do those now, or?
Yes, Ms. Treadway has budget amendments.
Good evening. First, I want to apologize for not getting the budget amendments into your packets earlier, but we've been very busy with our finance software conversion, which has been postponed. We were supposed to have gone live May 1st, and the state has postponed it now to July 1st and used June as a blackout month because we will be doing our year-end close. So we're set to go live July 1st for finance and October 1st for our HR and payroll, so we'll see. So anyway, I gave you a budget to actual just for your information. A lot of those areas that you will see in red are amendments that are before you. But overall, right now we're at 66% of our total budget. A lot of that is because of capital, where we budget the whole cost of what the county spends for us in capital with the high school project. But as you can see, like for Fund 1, we should be around 83%. We're right at 86% in our total spend. And for local, we're at 72%. So we're in good shape. For budget amendments, for state, at this time of the year, most everything is really just reallocating between purpose codes. However, we did receive our funding for Read to Achieve. That's our summer program money that usually comes from the state. It's for grades 1st through 3rd for reading and literacy. And so that amount was $62,447. So we'll be able to use part of that funding also for our summer program, but it will have to be just for the 1st through 3rd grade for reading. Other than that, like I said, everything was just reallotment or transfers between purpose codes. For federal, we only had like $640 of additional allotment at this time. So the rest of the budget amendments are for reallocation between purpose codes, particularly with 163, which is our CARES Act funding, and just taking some of that out of our, we won't need it for summer since we got the ESSER 2. So a lot of that we're just redistributing. We had intended to only use our additional custodians just for 6 months, and it's turned out that we're having to use them for the whole entire year, so we just reallocated that. On capital, I did increase the budget there for $71,358. We have purchased, or we have a purchase order out right now for an activity bus, a small activity bus, and the quote came in, it was about $1,300 more than what we had originally budgeted. The other $70,000 is to do with the middle school project for a classroom that we had where Mr. Sale was talking about the gutters and the water and having to reroute the water and do some drainage work. And so it's created some mold issues, so we're having to do some things to improve the air quality in that room. If our ESSER 2 grant is approved and that's in there, we will pay for it out of there, but we're having to do the work now to make that room safe and have it ready for the next year. So we went ahead and did a budget amendment in capital, so until we get the approval on the ESSER 2. So So that's the 70,000 there. Finally, in Fund 8, our special revenue, we did receive additional money for what we call MAC. It's Medicaid administrative cost. We got some additional funding from that. However, we're been doing a lot of work with our maintenance department. They're getting a lot of things done that had been on hold. So we increased the expenditures for maintenance, 48,000. And then also I've got the transfer to capital for 71,000 if we do wind up having to pay from capital. We'll be able to reimburse ourselves. That funding goes back retro, so we could, even if we spend the money now and we don't get our funding in ESSER 2 until next fiscal year, we could still reimburse ourselves for that. But that is what the 71,000 is there. That's all I have. Any questions?
The activity bus that we're getting, are we gonna take one offline, or
No, sir.
we're gonna be able to keep the others there?
Yes, all of the others are going to be online, plus there's one that is offline right now that we're purchasing a new motor for.
Right.
And that one should be up and running in August. So we will have, in my opinion, a stronger activity bus line than we've had in quite a while.
Good.
And this is the minibus one.
Yes.
It's small.
The
Yeah, you
small
said
one.
it's small, what?
Yeah. So,
Well, sometimes when you're taking small groups places,
Yeah.
it's more economical for us to take that rather than a large one.
Well, you can't take what you used to take.
No.
Which is good. I mean, that's good. Okay.
thank you.
Mr. McKinney, those are all of the discussion items. All that is left on the agenda are action items. If you'd like to begin the action items, we can. And if you all want to go to closed session, then we can do that before personnel. That would be up to your discretion in any way.
Let's see, the action items, let's go ahead and get those out of the way since they're small, and then we'll go into closed session.
Then, Mr. McKinney, I recommend the Swain County Board of Education approve the minutes of the April 19th, 2021 open session meeting and the April 19th, 2021 closed session meeting. You should have those documents in your pack.
Right there.
Motion.
All right, have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Motion is carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education approve the budget amendments as Ms. Treadway has presented them.
Motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor by show of hands? All right, is that it?
Those are the only
Except for
action
the
items
action
other than personnel. Yes.
Personnel next. So do I have a motion then to go into executive session?
I'll move that Swain County Board of Education go into the closed session for the purpose of discussing information that is privileged, confidential, and not a public record under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A1.
Second.
Okay, all in favor by show of hands? We'll be back shortly. All right, we're back in session. We're going to wait just a moment. We've got one member that's out roaming around, I think. And we will go into personnel. All right,
Mr. McKinney, I recommend the Swain County Board of Education accept the resignation of Allison True as teacher at Swain West Elementary effective June 4, 2021.
all right, do I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Motion's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education employ Heather Herron as teaching and learning coach at Swain Middle School effective August 1st, 2021.
Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Is she, item, is she still gonna be teaching some, or is that
No.
be coaching?
She'll be a learning coach for all of the teachers there. She has already been kind of filling that in a lot of ways, but this will give her the freedom to step out of the classroom and do that job full-time.
That's good that she can do that. It's also not good that she's not gonna be teaching because she's a good teacher.
But you want your best teachers
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that can step
Yeah.
out and do that as
Yeah,
well.
I know, but you're still losing a good teacher too.
Absolutely.
But I'm
Great.
happy for her. All those in favor by a show of hands? Okay, motion's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education employ Jill Blake as teaching and learning coach at Swain West Elementary effective August 1st, 2021.
Okay, we have a motion and a second,
So moved.
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All right, if not, all those in favor by a show of hands? Motion's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education employ Taylor Cochran as EC teacher effective August 1st, 2021.
Motion.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? There again, not discussion, but I mentioned earlier, it's so nice when we get, and we've got several on here, we get our folks coming back to teach here. And that really helps us, and helps, I know, these principals out there and sitting there. All right, all those in favor by a show of hands? Motion carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education employ Alyssa Holbert as teacher at Swain East Elementary effective August 1st, 2021.
Have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor by a show of hands? It's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education employ Whitney Davis as teacher at Swain East Elementary effective August 1st, 2021.
Motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor by a show of hands? All right, motion's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education employ Tiffany Walker as teacher at Swain West Elementary effective August 1st, 2021.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor by a show of hands? Motion's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education employ Megan Whiteside as teacher at Swain West Elementary effective August 1st, 2021.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor by a show of hands? Motion is carried.
Now, this list is for four-year contract renewals, or I guess some of them may be the first time for a four-year contract, right, Tommy? Yes. Okay. Do you want for me to go through them one at a time and approve each one, or would you prefer to take them as a group?
What's the consensus? All of you had a chance to look at them. Anybody want to go through one at a time?
No.
I'll just take them all at one time.
A group, okay. I recommend the Swain County Board of Education renew the four-year contract for the following employees: Evan Clapsaddle, Sean Lakey, Sarah Robinson, Sarah Lawson, where did that come from? Sonya Blankenship, Stephanie Nicole Hewitt, Max Lanning, Molly Lawless, Rachel McIntyre, Robin Roper, Toby Sorrell, Richard Stevenson, Colby Hyatt, Jennifer Scheid, Jordan Hedrick, and Kendra Kirkland.
Motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Motion is carried.
This next set of teachers are still in their beginning teacher phase, so they get one-year contracts. I recommend the Swain County Board of Education renew the one-year contract for the following employees: Arvis Bowman, Hannah Clemmer, Samantha Flanagan, Lydia Faust, Kelly Phelps, Catherine Shaver, Katie Walls, Sierra Wiggins, Angela Babb, Angela Barnes, Amanda Hilliard, Sean McCarthy, Anna Rowland, Laurie Sutton, Michael Dehart, Tony Gibson, Gabriel Jacobs, Megan Lucas, Jessica McCrae, Susanna Montaigne, Ramona Parsons, Keith Payne, Rachel Payne, Whitney Baldwin, Jill Blake, Brianne Bramlett, Penny Cody, Dorothy Diddle, Constance Griffin, Sarah Klotsky, Lydia Sale, Ramius Smith, Trina Stiles, and Kim Walls. And I misspoke on Susanna. How do you say her last name? Montaigne. Susanna Montaigne.
Motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor by show of hands? All right, motion is carried.
That's all of the personnel that we have for this evening, I believe. Am I correct?
Tommy Dills is raising his hand.
No. We have two more.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
So I recommend, that's on the sheet that I believe you got today.
Yes.
I recommend that the Swain County School Board employ Taylor Holt as a part-time film assistant. This is a new position, and she'll be working with Joe and the others in that program. And that's effective April 27th, 2021.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor by show of hands? Motion's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education employ Joshua Griffith as the head girls varsity basketball coach and middle school PE teacher effective August 1st, 2021.
All right. Motion and have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Those in favor by show of hands? Motion is carried.
Tommy, do we need to take the resignation of Doug?
Yeah, he's already done.
Okay, have we accepted his resignation yet?
We've accepted the verbal, but I haven't got any paperwork. Anything from Doug saying it, just that I was told that his last day working was the second.
So we probably should wait until we get something in writing for that. Say that again. You have it? You have a written copy of his resignation. Okay. Okay. Then I recommend that the Swain County Board of Education accept the resignation of Doug Dixon as a custodian at the high school effective May 7th, 2021.
Okay. We have a motion?
So
And a
moved.
second? Second, all right. All those, any discussion first? All those in favor by show of hands? Motion is carried.
Does that take care of everyone, Tom? All right. That would be all the personnel for now.
All right, that's it then? Let's go into public comment. Mr. Soder, you know if anyone needs to do public comment?
Tonight I am speaking to you as the wife of Neil Blankenship, not the principal of Swain County High School. I would like to address the board as well as the community who is watching and listening. Mr. White, your dad, Rod White, told Neil and I when Neil took this job that it was going to be difficult, and there were going to be many days that we felt like we were isolated on an island. I have never forgotten those words, and over the past few weeks, we've experienced this. I want to thank the board members who reached out and checked on my husband and myself last Monday when you learned about his decision to step down. We truly do appreciate the support that you've given our family. This has been an incredibly difficult decision for Neil, a man who has dedicated all 28 years of his educational career to this school system. You see, there's a small group of people in this community who are celebrating his decision, a group that includes a few with their own personal and self-centered agendas, some with personal vendettas against his coaching decisions, a group who has always thought that they could do a job better than better than anyone that we've ever hired, and some that think that you have to be an all-star athlete to be a great coach. And even though that he had the support of the majority of the board members, this small group of people vowed to make Neil's life miserable if he didn't step down. Well, tonight I want to explain the real why Neil made the decision to step down. My husband made this choice for me and his children. He made it so that we, along with Mr. Sell and you board members who actually support him, do not continually get bombarded with negative comments and reasons that he should be fired. He did it so that his coaching staff and the players would not be pitted against one another and made to feel like they had to choose a side, for or against. Because you see, that's the kind of man he is. This is a testimony of his selflessness. He loves this community and this school, and he does not want to allow a handful of people to make him despise the job or the people in this community. Over the past few weeks, I've heard him say on many, and I assure you there have been many phone calls, that it's just not worth it to create that kind of environment for those around me. So despite his 75% winning percentage, which is one of the best in the region, he made a selfless decision to give up something that he loves, is passionate about, and has been a part of his life since he was 14 years old, all to protect us. Neil and I have been married for 24 years. His love and commitment to this school is as true as his love and commitment to me. He sacrificed many hours to this place. Our lives have been dictated by Swain County High School athletics. And we, his family, we're not bitter about this because we know that this brings him joy and it's the essence of who he is. He and I made a decision a long time ago that this was going to be our lifestyle, and we've embraced it as a family. Watching my husband make a difference in kids' lives is incredibly rewarding. He's filled various roles for kids and what they need. He's been a father figure to many young men and women who needed it. He's been a shoulder to cry on in defeat, in injury, or in a personal crisis. He's been a contagious smile and a friendly, "Hey, bud," or "Hey, dear," to countless kids, not just athletes. My husband embodies our motto, our best and then some. My husband just found out tonight that I was doing this. He had no idea. But I couldn't let this go unspoken. When we received hate mail from a gutless community member who wouldn't even sign their name to the letter a few weeks ago, crossed a line for me, forcing me to feel compelled to defend my husband and protect my children, to take a stand and speak against an opposition of those squeaky wheels. Many times I have taken the high road, and I chose not to say anything because of my position in this school system. And I am certainly not the type who likes to rock a boat or stir up Facebook drama or have a social media pity party. However, I want this community to know that the Blankenships are going to keep their heads held high, and we're going to handle this with integrity. Please understand that this has sent us around the entire wheel of emotions, sometimes all in one conversation. And we are trusting God that He is going to reveal to us if this is just a mountain to climb or if He's showing us a door of opportunity. Either way, it's our mountain to climb. If If you see us and we don't quite seem ourselves, please understand that we are grieving not just the loss of our fathers, but the sudden loss of being a football coach and a football coach's wife. Neil and I love Swain County Schools and Swain High Athletics with every fiber of our being, and we will work to continue to be our best and then some.
Sonya, if you would, please, would you stay just a minute, please? We've got some things to say from a board perspective, from our heart, whether you said it or not. And I hope that nothing can replace what's happened with you and your family. I can't apologize for it because I wasn't a part of it. But we do want to say something, and I think we're going to just go around the table and say what they want.
Well, I definitely can't come up with all the adjectives that you so gracefully came up with and your husband said, but I'm one of those students, athletes that he definitely displayed his characteristics to, his integrity, his leadership. Most importantly to me, man of faith. I appreciate his role that he had in my life. Appreciate his role that he's had in my wife's life. And if you've been a part of this school recently, which McKinney hasn't, he was way back when. I get to say that, kind of make fun of him. But I graduated in 01. So Coach B, as I like to call him, Skinny, and I never called him that in school, not to be disrespectful, but that's my nickname for him. Skinny, he's made a last impression on my life. I like to thank him for what he's meant to me, what he's meant to the school. And the biggest thing to me is what he's going to continue to do. He's still here. He's still a part of us. He's still our AD. And I know what kind of person he is. So that's not going to change a thing. And I respect that, and I thank him for that more than anything.
Okay. I know it must have been a difficult decision for him to step down as a head coach. And with Neil, I admire the relationship that he's built with a lot of the student athletes here in Swain. He has put in over 20 years into this program. He's mentored so many young men in his football program, both players and coaches. He has put in too many hours to count to help this program. While doing all this, he is about every athletic event that you go to, as serving as the athletic director. Luckily, as Mitch said, he's decided to stay as athletic director and to continue to lead by example for our student athletes. And I feel like his service here is not over. I personally want to thank Coach Blankenship for his time and effort as a head coach, and I'm thankful for his dedication and commitment to the football program. God bless Coach Blankenship and the family.
I've thought for days now what I would say. I wanted to write it down. I said, no, I'm not going to write it down because it's emotional for me. There's not a finer man that I've been around than Neil Blankenship. And I've seen him work hard. I've helped him paint that blooming field for 12 years. And I did because of the school and because of Neil. And one thing I did because that's the hardest working man I've ever seen in my life. But I know things about Neil that the rest of you don't. She knows about it. I know that many times he saved a child's life. And I don't mean literally death, life or death, but saved them from something. Did something special, did a special trip, did a special visit with a home to help a child and get that child through. And then I thought back to the days when I used to coach, how close that relationship was with those kids. And I thought about my grandson. He was under Neil, and he thinks the world of Neil Blankenship and his coaches. To this day, he'd still jump off a bridge out there if they asked him to. That means the most in the world. I've got mementos back when I coached kids at the athletic banquet. They weren't supposed to do that. Bring them, especially girls. bringing me things. It's a close personal relationship with these kids. Neil Blankenship's the man that did that. And I never have figured out how a man can win as many games as he won and 4 out of 8 conference championships and the effect he had on kids and then still get that kind of vitriol. And I'm like you. Anybody send a letter like that, I don't want to know their name. I mean, if you're a coward, you're just a coward. But I have the utmost respect for Neil, and it's torn me up that he is getting out because he is a winner. And I've called him twice. I wish I could have talked him out of it, but I understand where it's coming from. It's his decision, and I understand it, and I'll support him. But he's my friend for life, and he's done a great deal for this community. I'm not sure that's going to set well with what this community did to him. It's upsetting. We've got to protect our folks, period.
As I said before, I don't know a lot about football, but I think I can see and understand a person's heart. And I graduated from high school with Neil in 1988 from Swain. And I know firsthand the love and dedication he had to our school since then, since I got to know him in 1984. So it's tough. It's tough to say these things, but I can't imagine any other person who's going to be in that position or has been in that position that have the kids, student athletes, every student, because I know my kids were not football players, my son wasn't, but he's impacted, Coach B's impacted their lives. So I deeply regret what's happened. I deeply regret that he resigned. But I support him in that decision because I know his heart and I know where he's coming from. And that's for the love and protection of others. So he'll be missed out there.
I guess I come from one of the most unique situations here in the room. I've lived through that. When it happened to my dad in 2009, the exact same situation. It was the board at that time, less the community, that made that decision. But I've been there, and I know those tough moments when those decisions have to be made, when they have to be made for family. I was talking to Joe outside. I said, I can't tell you how many times I woke up with 17, 18-year-old kids in the house. That's the only way Dad could get them to school and make sure they were going to be there on the days you had football games. I know Neil's done the same thing. It gets better. And I know that with some of the phone calls that I had, about the resignation, I said, when you get to that point, there's a relief in it. And I know when I called your husband that day, I said, if you feel relief to get out from under it, it's the right decision. And I know that he made that decision for the family. I know he made it for the community and the kids. Squeaky wheels are always squeaky wheels, and they always will be. There's not enough grease in the world that's going to keep them from squeaking. That's just part of it. But again, to reiterate it and say it again, that it's still good that he's part of the system. But this is not a blemish. There's short memories for a lot of folks, and especially those that care and that matter and part of the system. This is not a blemish on his record, and nor should he ever consider it that way, and nobody in the family should either. This takes nothing away from a man's accomplishments and what he's done and what he'll continue to do. Again, from those that matter, it doesn't matter. So just keep that in mind. And I wanted to end on this, that if you ever need somebody to talk to, Dad and Coach Jay are always fly fishing. So if he wants to pick up a hobby or something like that, go fly fishing. I don't know if it'll be that entertaining, but watching those two is certainly entertaining in a creek sometimes. So to end it on a lighter note, we do appreciate everything that Neil's done. I certainly appreciate it, and we certainly respect his decision. And I think that's the best thing we need to do is respect it, and know that it was for the right reasons. So thank you to you, thank you to Coach Blankenship, and thank you to your family.
Mr. McKinney, we have a few announcements that we need to put in place. Of course, don't forget that our graduation is June the 5th, and our plan is to have that at the high school in the stadium, and it will be as traditional as we can possibly make it this year. Sonya has said before she retires, and it's not this year, she would like to have just a normal graduation because she had one that was rained out, one that was pandemiced out, and now we'll have one that's just a little bit different. So please, everyone, put that on your calendar, June the 5th. I believe it'll be at 10 a.m. On June the 4th, we've made that into, no, June the 3rd, we've made that into a half a day for students. And we need to make sure that the community understands that. So we'll communicate that through our normal channels. But our staff only has that Friday to clean their rooms out and to get their lives together. And so we've said, let's give them another half a day. Plus, they have some celebrations, some retirements that they need to participate in as well. I want to tell all of you that there are some award nights that are coming up. First of all, this Thursday, the middle school band will be performing at the football field. They're not marching, they're just playing, but they're playing outside because it allows you to have more people right now. Monday, May 24th is the senior awards night. Joe, are we going to broadcast that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you can't be part of that, I would encourage you to tune in. And then on that Thursday, May the 27th, is the Underclassmen Awards night. We need to have probably another board meeting this month. It'll take about a half hour to 45 minutes unless something breaks loose. Could I suggest that we either meet on May the 25th or May the 26th? I don't know what the ball schedules are, and I know that all of you, or a lot of you, have people who are participating in athletics right now, either the 25th or the 26th. The purpose of that meeting will be for finance and for personnel, okay?
What night works best for everybody?
Either one,
26 work,
it's fine.
6 o'clock. What do you think, Cody? Let's see, I
6 o'clock.
got a dot there, let's see what it is, that's nothing. 6 o'clock on the 26th? You gonna be, can you,
That might be here.
all right?
26.
26th, okay. I believe our next regular scheduled board meeting is June the 7th. Is that good? Okay.
Yep.
And then we will need to schedule a board meeting for the closeout, year-end closeout, and that will either be the 28th or the 29th of June. I don't know which one. I need to talk to Stephanie. Are those dates good for you?
29th may be better. I think I have to have Alec back to Annapolis the 28th.
Then let's make it the 29th, okay?
I can appear via Zoom if I need to on the 28th.
Okay, so let's go for the 29th. It'll be fine. That is pretty much a pure financial meeting, although there may be some personnel on there as well.
The 29th.
June 29th. And as far as I know, that's all of the dates that we need. Anybody else have any?
Can we look at the July date?
Our regular scheduled meeting for July will be the 12th. Do we need to move that?
I'll be gone, but I'll be gone that
Can we
week.
make it the 19th? Is that all right? Is the 19th okay? 19th of July? All right?
That'd be great.
Is that
Thank
okay?
you.
Yeah,
All right.
you'll be here, huh?
Yep, I'll be back the 13th.
Okay.
May I have a point of personal privilege?
Yes.
Tomorrow is my father's 79th birthday,
Oh,
and I would like to wish him a happy birthday.
Oh,
That's
happy
great.
birthday.
That's
Like
great.
yourself.
Shout out to the man who delivered me.
Well, you can't blame him for everything.
Everybody's got some faults there.
Happy birthday, Dad.
That's nice.
Happy birthday, Dr. Swain.
Excellent.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. And second, all in favor by standing and adjourning.
Thank you.